Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and today we're going to look at the daily transit. The sun just moved in gate 59, and it is a very interesting gate. Just a second. Okay, now it goes. So, this is the gate of sexuality, part of the channel of mating, a designer focused on reproduction. Um, so Gate 59 is in the sacral center. It is life itself. This is the sacral power to be able to break down barriers. And it is through this gate that our sexual types are defined. When the possibility of bonding and the fuel of expressed sexuality are connected, defined, we have the channel of mating, a design focused on reproduction. Here is the dynamic power of sex drive. When this channel is defined, all lovemaking can result in fertilization. This is the most intimate on the three social channels. So we have to be very careful in our sexual interactions the following days until, so the sixth gate, fifth line, let's see. Yeah, actually, not very long. It changes on Wednesday already. We go to the 46th gate, so this channel will be gone. But until then, all projects that you're starting can be fruitful. There is a lot of energy. We have a generator here, emotional generator. So all those with open sacral center, beware for the next few days to knowing when to stop, when enough is enough, because there is a lot of energy for doing, guys. And we have different meaning when the 59-6, when we connect people which are not lovers, because this is the channel of intimacy, the need for a deep connection to others, and the resulting fertility can be applied to projects and careers, and it is not limited to reproduction, though this is its primary function. It is part of the defense circuit. This is the other one, but here we reproduce, we make more of us, and on the other side it will be caring. But on this side it is about being intimate. Basically, people who have this channel, when they get into somebody's aura, all barriers fall, and they can very fast befriend you and become very intimate with you. And very often people look at that energy and they interpret it like you want to be intimate with them. And it's not about sexuality all the time. It can be, as I said, about projects, work, anything which can bear fruits. It can be quite a fruitful relation. Also, here we have the gate of conflict, the sixth gate, which which is also, just hold on a second, which is also the gate of friction and pleasure comes with friction. If you think about it in sexuality, there is friction, and so is also with projects, fruitful projects. There is friction there to get you to a place of intimacy. So uh, we have the 59.6. Let's look at the channel itself. This is the channel of mating, and the 59th gate, the gate of dispersion, connected to the 6th gate, the gate of conflict in the emotional center. This channel represents reproduction, which is the fundamental genetic drive in humans. Since it is also part of the tribal circuitry, the element of support is present here. This channel can result in conceiving a child, and so support is obviously an important thing. A person with this channel gives and gets support through being intimate. It is the image of a mother and father hugging each other and staring at their pregnant belly or the newborn child, two people giving each other support through intimacy. Living together intimately usually includes conflict, and we know how emotional that can be. And we have also the basically the 59th gate responds to the emotional turbulence of conflict and seeks to disperse it, thereby restoring the connection between people. The process functions in a variety of ways and is no longer limited to reproduction. We can also see it at work, trying to reestablish the connection between cultures and religions in the world today. The ability humans to demonstrate to a great extent due to the energy of the defense circuit, how to survive. And also, it's important, just a second. It's important to look at, basically, if we look at the mandala. So here we have gate 59, and right across it is gate 55, where the Earth is right now. And basically the 55 located exactly across from the 59 gate, it is undergoing mutation, as you probably know, the 55 gate, because right now we have three centers of awareness: the spleen, which is our body awareness; we have the ajna, which is our intelligence; and we have emotional awareness, our spirit. And right now it is undergoing mutation. So from a powerful motor, actually probably the most powerful motor in the body graph, the emotional center will become a center of awareness. And it is undergoing a mutation which will affect how humanity is emotionally aware. That same mutation is mirrored in the 59th gate. The way we're intimate and reproduce is also undergoing a mutation. The increase of infertility and test tube babies is part of this process. As you know, a lot of people, on one hand, start to have family quite later, much later than before, but also we have a lot of fertility issues and a lot of test tube babies. It is part of this undergoing mutation. And we know that we're getting into the sixth lines of the sleeping phoenix. So right now we are in the cross of planning, which is all about logic and tribe and supporting the institutions and supporting our talents, etc., etc., etc. But this is coming to an end. This era of 400 years is coming to an end. And a new era is coming, the era of the sleeping phoenix. And the sleeping phoenix, it's about being reborn out of the ashes of the old order. So there is something new on the horizon, something new is coming. And the 59th and the 55th gate are all part of that. So it is something to consider. And as we see again, the program is perfect. It's preparing us for what is coming. And right now we're in the first line of the 59th gate dispersion. First line is called the preemptive strike, and it is a roll gate. So the different lines of that gate will show us how the different profiles act in their intimate relationships and in sexuality in general. So the first, everybody with first lines, me, I'm a 5-1. So on the unconscious level, this is the authority and vitality that in understanding purpose and direction can recognize and eliminate barriers before they become impregnable. The power of fertility to impregnate. In this position, the ability and intelligence to recognize, but the deep indecisiveness about how and when to act. The potential of fertility limited by uncertainty. And we see it here exalted and in detriment. So it's juxtaposed. So this means that the energies are fixed. The 59 is fixed. And in the upper and in the exaltation and in the detriment. So it is very, very underlined, this energy right now in the air. Very strong. And if we look at the other lines of the 59 gate, we have the shyness in the second gate, in the second line, excuse me, but let me finish the preemptive strike. So it is the idea here that you, that's why it's preemptive strike. So you want to, you strike first so that you don't get stricken. There's the idea. So we have the first line here, and the first line is uh, the prehistoric man and the prehistoric woman. The prehistoric man, like a bam bam, hits you on the head and drags you by the hair to his cave, and that's love for him. It is about breaking the barriers of intimacy before they have been even established. And of course, we have the other, the detriment, which is about indecisiveness, not knowing when to act. So you can postpone till forever and lose the lady or the guy. So that's the first line. Then the second line, the role here is the sexual role is shyness, self-imposed barriers, a preferred and natural separateness that protects against the inevitable instability engendered by union, the restriction of the sex drive to maintain separateness, a calculated shyness rooted in deep psychological barriers that even in dynamic individuals will always restrict interaction, infertility rooted psychologically or biologically that conditions the drive for separateness. As we know, the second lines need to have their barriers broken. They are shy. They will not pursue like the first line. They will wait for somebody to call them out before they can even be intimate with you. Then the third line, we have openness. Saturn exalted, where the search of identity and security can only be achieved through the dropping of barriers in order to define oneself through union, where one is empowered through union in intimacy with others. And the detriment where openness is transformed into promiscuity and its attendant problems, where the drive for empowerment through union and intimacy can lead to promiscuity. So the third line bumps into things. It's open for the other, and it can even lead to promiscuity in the detriment. And in the exaltation, it's about being empowered through the union and intimacy with others. So here we have openness and at the same time bonds made and broken. People who need to break the bond at the end of the day are sometimes this sounds very drastic and difficult to have the third line, because those people really want to break the bond and be away from that person. But breaking the bond can be that in the morning you guys separate and each goes to their own working place. So you split, you separate for the day. This is breaking the bond. And then in the evening, when you meet again, you reestablish the bond. You meet again. It can be as simple as that. Doesn't mean you are breaking the bonds forever. Actually, that's something I'm always telling my third line clients. Don't burn the bridge, because you want to maybe eventually make the bond again. So don't burn the bridge. Leave it there. Maybe you don't want to hear about that person right now. You want to break away from that person. Let it be, and don't burn the bridge behind you. Leave a way back in case you need it. Then we go to the fourth line, brotherhood, sisterhood. So here we have somebody who needs to first become friends before they can be intimate. The dropping of barriers to union to establish a universal union, the power derived from non-sexual intimacy. It's very important that you first establish friendship, non-sexual intimacy. First, you become intimate with that person. First, you share all those heartaches from the past and past relationships. And only after you went through all those things, you're ready to become intimate physically, one step further. And the detriment, we have an intellectual understanding that is rarely put into action, where the idea cannot restrain the sex drive. It's so here maybe we can say that sex is between the ears. You first hear it, you first enjoy it in your head before it can go into the body. Super important for fourth lines to not, there are no first night stands, one night stands which are correct for fourth lines. It's about, well, unless you become so fast intimate and friendly with somebody before you engage in sexual intimacy, but it is correct for fourth lines to be first friends, to feel first this intimacy, this friendship intimacy before you can indulge in other deeper relationships. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Then we go to the fifth line. That's me, the femme fatale or Casanova. The power to use love to break down any barrier. Given the sound's lightness, there is no negative connotation inherent in this description. The power of sexuality to attract others. And the detriment, Uranus in detriment, where the negative potential of this power becomes evident, the gigolo, the adventurous, the power of sexuality expressed as sexual power. So we see there is a lot of sexual energy. Of course, we're talking about the gate of sexuality and the center of the vital energy, the life force, the generator motor. availability, sexuality, and fertility. And the fifth line, this is the most exalted, the most basically the dream of the hexagram is to be femme fatale. So it's not anymore the preemptive strike, which is the base. You're not in the prehistoric ages. Now you're much refined and you do it um, very nice and very more sophisticated, let's say. And here we have the power to attract others, whether, as we said, intimately or for a project. But this is the fifth line is very seductive. And it's about the seduction here. It's very interesting. It's not about the fifth line to seduce you and have you. No, no, no. There has to be a game. The fifth line seduces you to seduce it. So it's not about a femme fatale or Casanova going and seducing you. No, they're seducing you so that you want to seduce them. And if you don't seduce them back, it doesn't work. The fifth line will not have satisfaction. It wants you to, it seduces you so that you seduce it, so that you put an effort into breaking down the barriers. So they first break your barriers so that you can break down theirs. That's the fifth line. And it can be very fruitful in projects or work or whatever, but that's the thing. It has to be seduced in order to seduce back, or it seduces you so that it's seduced back. And then we go to the sixth line. It's called the one night stand, which is not what it means. Those people don't go into a one night stand, actually. They rarely would even engage intimately unless they're sure that this is the one, that this is their soulmate. So we have here the tendency based on personality or circumstances to accept only temporary unions that may be otherwise impossible or dangerous to continue. The perfected relationship, whether for a moment or an eternity, the power for intimacy regardless of conditions, and the detriment, the basic drive to move on that seeks impermanency as a matter of course and not in response of circumstances, the drive for sexual and intimate diversity. Of course, we have here a line of discovery. The first 30 years, the sixth line is a line of discovery. And it's drive for sexual and intimate diversity. But as I said, it will not engage until it is really the right person. And here, the moon changed gate to the 53rd, so we no longer have the 3955. We're no longer emotional as we can be. Let's look for a quick second to what is just gone. You know, sometimes it makes sense to look at what has just passed because it's an energy we just moved. So, hold on. So the channel of moodiness was activated, which is the abundance of the emotional center. It's the channel that connects directly into the spirit of the emotional center, 55th gate. And it's in the wave. Here, the wave is abrupt in form, spiking up and down through extremes of moods. And this is just gone. This is an individual channel of moodiness, and it is part of the individual stream that includes a concern with and a focus on romance. love and passion. So the individual circuit is deeply moody or melancholic, and this channel is the height of that. Basically, it's about uncertainty. You know, she loves me not. I don't know. Or suddenly, I know. It's about being uncertain, and it can be for a long time. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And then suddenly, I know. And then it's gone again because it's a wave. It moves the point of the wave with its mutative aspect of the individual being about to take over and transform out of that uncertainty. Basically, the whole individual circuit can be deeply uncertain because you don't know until mutation comes. It's a pulse. The format of this energy is the 360, the channel of mutation. And we have the 60th limitation, the gate of limitation in Pluto for quite a long time now. So we definitely feel this moodiness in the air. And okay, the 39 is gone right now, but we have the 55, the 2, the 1, the 23, the 60, the 55, as I said, the 4, the 23, it's all individual energy. And as you know, from my previous videos, that we also have the nodes for some time here, which also comes to that potential for moodiness and potential for melancholy. But the mood swings are healthy for the 3955, provided they're acknowledged and watched. A big challenge for people with this channel is to remember that there is no reason for the mood. The mood is simply a dynamic. And whatever the mood is, it will change. That's the nature of this channel. And that's the nature of moodiness and of mutation. It's a pulse. Now it's here, then it's gone. And you should not confuse this with depression. It's very important, especially because the sleeping phoenix is coming, and this is a lot of individual energy. We will have the 3420. So that's also another gate 20, another individual gate. People will wake up in melancholy and they will think they're depressed. But that's not depression because it can lead to a creative muse. And those moody times can be used to wake up the creativity. And it's simply a mood dynamic. It's simply part of that other perspective that the emotional wave gives you. It's always moving from hope to pain and back again. And it is not a punishment. It is about getting a deeper perspective. The most deep people are the emotional people. They know exactly why they like or they don't like somebody because they've seen them through all the aspects of their emotional wave. They've seen them when they were down, they've seen them when they were up, and only then, hopefully correctly, the emotional person takes decision whether that's correct or not correct for them, or whether this person is for them or not. The point is to let yourself be guided by the wisdom of that emotionality, of that different perspective points or point of perspective on their emotional wave. And this gives deepness and at the end, clarity as to what is correct. So this emotional energy is just gone, but we continue to have emotional energy because the 59.6 is defined the channel of mating, a design focused on reproduction. So we looked at the 59th gate. Let's now move to the fifth gate, the gate of spirit, where we're grounding this energy, this sexual energy. So this is the power of the emotional awareness and its potential to destabilize in the testing ground in humanity's search for the spirit. Spirit is not a concept, it is not an instinct, it is an emotion. The potential for spirit and its manifestation lie in the 55th gate. And this is a potential uh, for spirit. So it's also something very interesting. Abundance is strictly a question of spirit. So abundance, even in the material plane, is a question of the right spirit. It is through this gate that the limitations of the emotions are experienced. This is the gate of David's cup. Abundance is the microcosm of life in form. The cup is always present and there is always something in the cup, our lives. And in the wave of the emotions, the cup is perceived as either half full or half empty. Abundance is a gate of potential awareness. When the life is experienced emotionally as either this or that, this is not aware. This is mechanical. It is the wave frequency of the emotional hope to pain cycle. Moods are manifested out of this frequency. The individual finds the spirit in the emotional now. The wave is made up of many points in the geometry. At any given point, spirit is not a matter of comparison, just the wonder that the cup exists at all, whether it's half full or half empty. And remember, if it's half empty, it can always be refilled. So we have spirit, moods, waking up to the spirit, waking up the emotional clarity and waking up the emotional awareness at the end, because this is our spirit. It's about awareness in the spiritual realm at the end, because abundance is strictly a question of spirit. Let's look at the lines. Right now, we're in the first line, cooperation, the expansion of activity through cooperation with powerful forces, through principled actions that guarantee continued support and engender prosperity. The potential to find the spirit through cooperation with powerful forces. And the other side, the concentration on harmonic relationships with powerful forces that provide for continuity but not necessarily advancement. The potential to harmonize with powerful forces but not necessarily for the benefit of the spirit. Then tomorrow we will go to the second line, abundance hampered by slander or gossip, distrust, the gift of being able to penetrate to the center that may demonstrate effectively through its relating talents that its trustfulness is genuine. Emotional stability and strength of the spirit is dependent on being trusted by others, or the emotional drive to insist on trustworthiness that does not guarantee its acceptance by others or benefits the spirit. The third line, innocence. Here I was only following orders, a genuine defense. When the form is correct and attempts at actualization have been disciplined and within guidelines, failure cannot be personally attributed. The emotional possibility to recognize that despite one's best efforts, failure is possible and does not need to affect the spirit. Just innocence. And Mars in detriment, where a struggle against conformity or individual initiative can bring a superior to ruin while safely hiding behind his shield. The energy to selfishly protect one's spirit at the expense of others. Interesting days coming ahead. Fourth line, assimilation. The establishment of framework that balances principles with energy and leads inevitably to expansion and prosperity. the possible spirit that comes when emotional awareness and energy are balanced and principled. And the other side, boundless energy that knows no restraint, boundless energy that ignores awareness at the risk of the spirit. You see here, the spirit is at risk at all times, depending on whether you're correct or not. Then we get to the fifth line, growth, the unusual ability in a position of power to accept advice and transform it innovatively. The gift in a position of power allows one to continue to lead rather than being perceived as being led. The emotional strength and spirit derived from positions of power. And the other side, the integrative openness that in its broad acceptance of advice may be eventually eclipsed. An emotional openness where the spirit is at risk from conditioning. And the last, the sixth line, selfishness. This is the line we're getting into in 2027. So let's see what that is. Acquisition obsession that, though alienating, is still indirectly beneficial materially to others. The possibility of finding the spirit through materialism. And detriment where the material abundance exists, but no one gets to share its light. The no moon phase, the possibility that materialism becomes obsessive with a mean spirit that will not share. Those are the times which are coming. So there will be abundance and possibility of finding the spirit through the materialism, or a mean spirit that will not share that abundance with others. It's all about being correct. If we're correct, if we're following our strategy and authority, we're aligned to the least resistant path and to the most correct energy for us to get to our purpose. To be on your geometry is to meet your fractal, the people on your fractal line. To be together, not for materialism, but for spirit. And only then abundance will come. And we can already see it, that the tribal energies are disintegrating or breaking down, and the stickiness of the tribe is breaking down. We're not marrying anymore for economic factors, for continuing the stability in the tribe. No, we marry for love, we marry for passion. All those moral in the tribe is dissolving, and people are preferring love to loyalty, to the loyalty of the tribe. It's about being passionate and find the spirit, and not we marry for love. We don't marry anymore for economic. It's about who you like to be with, not who is best for you financially and materially and good for the whole family and for the whole tribe. Those times are over, and we can really see it in the world. So let's move on to look again at the notes. We have the future direction environment, the receptive, the gate of direction of the self in the fourth line, secretiveness, more than modesty, the ability to preserve harmony through discretion. The higher goal transcends personal acclaim. The team player acknowledges as the leader, but never the captain, where higher knowing does not have to be expressed to be recognized. And the detriment, loose lips sink ships. The unquenchable fire of the ego engenders enmity, the inability to keep silent when the opportunity arises for expression. And it's about whether you can be secretive or not. And whether you wait for the right moment, it's about the right moment. It's always about the right moment. That's what we're here to learn, especially people with open throats, to learn the timing, the right moment. And we have the first line, the first gate in fourth line, the south node, past direction environment, the creative, the gate of self-expression in the fourth line, aloneness as the medium of creativity. The tension of inner light. It's about being alone in order to get connected to your creativity. The earth exalted as the symbol of personal perspective manifested outside of influence, where the potential magic of inspiration is diluted. Creativity that must develop outside of influence. And the other side, where the potential magic of inspiration is diluted. The need to influence that abandons aloneness and limits creativity. Knowing when to be alone and when to be with others. This is the direction. And as you can see, it can be creative, new creative direction. Here we have the driver, where the magnetic monopole sits. And here we have the creative which connect with the 8th gate will lead to expression, to creative expression. Here is the artist, and the 8th gate will be the agent. That's why I'm saying creative direction, new creative direction. This is the potential here that we receive. And since it's in the nodes, those are the nodes of the moon, and they are not planets, they are points in space where we are connected to the bigger picture, to the bigger, to the program, to beyond our solar system, beyond. It's about the whole biverse. It's about the whole process here, the whole program, and thus during the times while our nodes are here, we will definitely have the potential to discover a new creative direction, which prepares us for the new cycle, which is coming, for the new era. Okay, so let's look at the moon, which just changed gates into the 53rd gate development, the gate of beginnings. So this is our driving force, what we think of. First line, accumulation, the dissolution of old forms, but not at the expense of valued components that will be retained and transformed. The pressure to begin something new, not from scratch, but based on the foundation of the old. Development hampered by criticism and the tendency to withdraw rather than make use of these experiences. The difficulty in starting something new because of the criticism that accompanied the old. This is something we'll be thinking of, and it will be driving us, starting something, wanting to start something new, but based on the old. Or the opposite, not daring to start something new because of the criticism accompanied in the past. Then we have Mercury, the communication, thinking about and expressing. In the fifth line, arbitration. As we saw, it's part of the gate of conflict. The faith derived from analytical diligence and emotional control that permits higher authority to judge a conflict. Harmony, furthered through the avoidance of direct conflict. Sensitivity to conflict can lead to the avoidance of intimacy. And the other side, where a party to arbitration sees itself as the best possible judge and will only accept judgment if it is the victory. Insensitivity to the concerns of others in a conflict. This is something we're going to be watching today and for part tomorrow. Something that people will be communicating. Harmony, the lack of or the lack of it, and judgment, except for when in victory, basically insensitivity to concerns of others in conflict, and it can get very, very ugly. Our values and relating is in the seventh gate, the army, the role of the self in the interaction. So we have a role gate here. The authoritarian, the iron hand, both enlightened and despotic, it's only exalted. Venus exalted as in the basic values and rules imposed on a child, the capacity of the self to guide with authority. These are our values: to be authoritative, wanting to lead, but not getting yet to manifesting that, only wanting it. Then we have the gate of now, contemplation, the gate of direction of the now. Second line, the dogmatist. So this is where our impulsive and immature energy is, the energy dynamics in Mars. The limitation, actually, a second line, dogmatist, the restrictive and intentionally limited understanding. The exaltation, the limitation of personal and exclusive is less negative through ascetic withdrawal, a restrictive awareness of the now. And the other side, the power to lead others down a narrow path, the gift through expression of leading others down a narrow and restrictive path. So it's an energy for in the now, also a leadership, but the only thing which is actually in the throat. So there is a lack of energy here. We have no connection, but the 20th gate thinks that it can do it in the now. The dogmatist, recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms the understanding into right action. The point is whether you're following your strategy and authority so that you know you're in the correct timing and correct for you. Then this energy, this immature energy, will bring not chaos, but it can be mutative. Then we have the law and protection, which we have to follow unless we want to be restricted and punished by Saturn in the 49th gate. So we have here opinion, the gate of opinion following in the fifth line. No human is an island. The recognition, however, understood that there is no end to hierarchies. The ultimate creative expression of interdependency, whether as a God's will or global synthesis. Opinions that can express the value of being organized, whether mundane or spiritual. The arrogance, despite of all the evidence to claim that the buck stops here, the possibility of opinions that refuse to see the value of being organized. It is opinions, the gate of opinions, showing us that wanting to share, keyword share, the ancient law that those who wish to rule must know how to serve. This is crucial here, to know how to serve first before you lead, before you express your opinions and influence the other. It's a fifth line, so it's projections. So the law, which we feel internally we want to follow, is connected either to arrogance or the expression of interdependency, and the value of being organized. And if that is being followed, then the restrictions and the discipline and limitation in the 49 gate revolution, the gate of principles, will not be so severe, or it will be the correct severeness, popular discontent, the ability to destroy antiquated forms once the restrictions have been removed, the potential insensitivity to reject failed principles of relationships, and Pluto in detriment with general support, a savageness in eliminating the old order that may permanently scar the new, an insensitivity in rejection and rejecting. So rejection and being rejected is the punishment when you don't follow the right timing to share your opinion when you're not invited. That's a projector channel. Then we have the Uranus, the unusualness, chaos, and innovation in expressing. Here we have the gate of assimilation, splitting apart. In the first line, proselytization, the attempt to undermine one set of values for another. The sage of who, in the extreme, can defend evil as a part of the greater good. The powerful expression of an insight which will undermine established values. And the detriment, the missionary whose very light will bring darkness. The powerful expression of an insight which will produce negative effect. So assimilating and expressing your understanding takes recognition, invitation, and the right timing. And it's super unusual in the air. This missionary whose very light will bring darkness, or to defend evil as part of the greater good. It sounds very dark, the chaos right now. But if you listen, you will hear that in the news. You will hear about the amorality, the awareness and understanding which leads to the acceptance of diversity at the end. That's the point of this gate, to bring diversity and acceptance of that diversity. The freak is also part of society. It's also part of the whole. But the freak will only be accepted as a genius when they express themselves in the right timing, when people are ready to hear. Otherwise, mutation will not happen. People are not ready to hear, and they'll just see you as a freak who has nothing really to say. Again, let's look at Neptune, illusion and spirituality, transcendence. In the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, third line, transition, the point at which decline has exhausted its power. The ability to establish a new order out of the ashes of the old. And the other side, the tendency in renewal to try to assimilate the remains of the old order into the new, with the risk that it may rise again, the new order, once it has regained its strengths. The embrace of the change, but with feelings that will not let go of the past. And here we see this in a way, opposite things. And all at the same time, we can also see the genetic imperative and how everything works together to give us a precise picture of the current moment, which will more or less condition us to prepare us for what's coming. That's my opinion. And we have, so this darkness, illusion, and spirituality. We don't know exactly what's going on. We're going to find out when Neptune moves from here, because right now it's putting it into veil, and we don't really know what this darkening of the light is happening. What is this crisis going on behind there in the dark? We only have slight feeling of something in the air which is darkening the light, and there is a lot of fear. We can feel it in the air for quite some time already, for since the pandemic started, and it's on those changing times you can really feel them, and there is more or less panic, and Neptune for a big part plays a role here, because feel, we see something happening there, but it's diluted. It's like through water. Neptune, the ruler of the water, the god of the water. When you look underwater, it's not the same. It's blurred. It's not the same crystal clear vision that we have above water with humans. So we don't really know what this crisis is, but it is here in the world. We feel it, and it's in the air. It's in the air. Strategy and authority, guys. That's all you need. And the last thing, the Pluto, truth, transformation, and psychology. So this is what is transforming us, laying the road, the pavement to the new cycle. In the first line, acceptance, 60th gate, limitation, the gate of acceptance. The ability to maintain inner harmony when confronted by external limitations, harmonic energy that can deal with external limitations. And the other way, the drive for diversity that when limited can become restless and agitated, restless energy when confronted with external limitations. We can see both. I think people did amazingly well with those limitations, especially when we were stuck at home. People were so creative to find a way around these limitations. And at the same time, it was when we were confronted with those external limitations, we became very restless and agitated. That's why I don't think they will be closing us anymore, because first of all, there is no money for that. And second of all, people really took it really bad. But their limitations certainly are coming. Everybody's now afraid of the winter times coming in the northern hemisphere because of the problems we have with the electricity, gas, and etc. Because of the what's happening in between Russia and Ukraine. Uh, this is affecting the whole globe, as we can see, and limitations and crisis, which will help us grow, which will help us be prepared for what is coming. This was the transit of the day and the next few days. And it is something which is very mental. You don't need to know it. You only need to know you. You only need to be centered in yourself. And then you have everything, all the tools, all the gifts you need to navigate safely and most importantly, correctly, which is correct for you. It doesn't mean it's good, it doesn't mean it's bad, it's just correct. Correctness can bring you to the most terrible circumstances, but if they're correct, you come out from that with something which is part of your fractal, something which is part of your geometry, of your learning process, and of your purpose here on this earth. Till then, those planets every day will be influencing and conditioning you. We have an emotional generator energy. We have doing, wanting to be intimate, growing things. And it might not be the right timing if you're not invited, if you're a projector, if you didn't respond, if you're a generator, if you didn't have clarity, if you're emotional, if you didn't think of who you're going to impact and warn them, inform them about that impact that is coming, if you're a manifester. And if you wait to be initiated and not initiate yourself if you're a reflector, but be open to that surprise. Take your time to also gain your clarity, not hurry. Start your lunar cycle if a decision is there to be made. And remember, there is emotionality in the air, and there is a lot of energy in the air. So all those who are non-energy types or who have an open sacral, so the manifestors, the reflectors, and the projectors, be aware of this energy, because right now it will be even easier for you to enough not be enough, and to that you really reach all limitations, cross all boundaries, and be super exhausted afterwards. We are basically not knowing when to hurry under pressure, adrenaline pressure, not knowing when to hurry, not knowing what's healthy, not knowing what to will, when to promise, and whether to promise at all. Not knowing love, direction, and identity, when to manifest, when is the correct timing, not knowing when to be certain, and not knowing what to think about. And under pressure from the life force energy, this is actually the only true emotional generator because we have a direct sacral solar plexus connection. So those are two motors which put each other in, empower each other, put each other under pressure, emotional pressure or power pressure. So it is like the air and the fire making each other bigger. You know, when you blow a lot of air into the fire, it goes like, that's the potential here. So unless you want to get emotionally burned and energetically burned, follow your strategy and authority and be centered in yourself. Know when enough is enough. Take your time to gain clarity. Don't take emotional decisions. Don't be in a hurry um, to reject or to look for the spirit or to be looking for crisis and conflict and intimacy. It is all about being in tune with your own frequency, which will tune you to the bigger picture, but for your benefit, not for the benefit of the program. We're not here to live out the program. We're here to live out ourselves, to be in our own movie. Talk to you soon. I'm Veronica with Human Design Journey, and this was the transit of the day. Bye for now.